So what is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology, and welcome to my iPhone XS Max 6 months later review video. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and discuss specs and all that too much here, because what I really want you to get out of this is the user experience of someone who's used this thing consistently over a 6-month period, so you can kind of decide, is Apple still doing enough to earn your hard-earned cash? Now, let's get it out of the way right away. The XS Max is one of the most premium priced phones you're going to buy out there. The Galaxy Fold has exceeded this, as well as, the S10 Plus Ceramic has also exceeded this, and I'm sure the 5G S10 Plus is also more. But the XS Max and the iPhone, Apple has been really the ones that push this $1,000 forward. So over my 6-month period, one thing I do have to mention is that I always felt like the XS Max was my most premium phone, except for when the Galaxy S10 Plus came. Then I felt like I had something that's pretty close in terms of the build. But the XS Max has always felt like up there with the most premium phones on the market, and it's probably mostly due to the stainless steel sides. The gold finish is just gorgeous on this phone, and overall, I just absolutely love the XS Max in terms of the feel. So over 6 months, there's just something about it, the combination of Apple running the software and the hardware. It just feels like you have one of the most luxurious phones on the planet when you do have an iPhone XS Max. So that hasn't changed here, and I just expect Apple to keep doing this going forward and making their phones feel uber premium. So I want to mention the notch just a little bit, because in my 6 months period, I found that out of all the notch phones I've used, the iPhones the iPhone XS Max is the one that least bothered me the most, and that's because the screen is so expansive on this phone that I don't really think about the notch too much because there's so much screen area. So before, I would feel like I'm looking at it a lot because the screen was so small, but that's not the case here for this device. So if you want a phone that's going to give you not too much of a distraction with the notch, you definitely want the XS Max over the smaller iPhone XS, because it's just got more screen area. You're not going to be looking at it quite as much. So I did want to mention that over my 6 months. Now, one thing that always bugged me about any of the iPhone X series is the camera hump, because every time I have a case that's too thin or something like that, or if I don't have a case on it, I'm always scared I'm going to scratch this camera hump. However, I would like to mention it's been very durable, the camera bump here, the glass on the camera, but still, I found this thing bumping into things a couple of times, so if I didn't have a case on it. So definitely put a case on the XS Max, because that camera bump is very, bulging out there. So I want to talk about the display for a minute. We talked about the notch a bit, but the display quality itself is the best I've ever seen on an iPhone, as it should be. It's the most premium iPhone ever. But the real big change here is having such a large OLED screen for the XS Max just gave this thing an absolutely gorgeous color. So every time you look at it, you never are thinking about having a better display. Like before, if you had an LCD Retina, you've seen your friends with a Samsung phone, or you've seen somebody with a Samsung phone, you would be like, wow, that display is just absolutely stunning. But you might have still stayed with your iPhone. But now you don't have to sacrifice that, because the screen for the XS Max is just super sharp. It's vibrant. It's really bright. It also features True Tone, as we would come to expect. 3D Touch is on board as well. Just in a fantastic overall panel. Colors are very accurate, but still enough vibrancy to make it seem like a very beautiful display. So no matter what you're doing, everything looks good on this display. Text is sharp, videos look fantastic, and overall, I was just very happy with the XS Max's display. Everything was just a joy to use. Black levels are deeper because it's OLED, like you could see in this dark theme on YouTube. Just a fantastic panel. In my 6 months, I really did like the design in terms of how comfortable it feels in the hand, mostly because the way it wraps around the corners. Here, it's a very nicely symmetrical design on the corners. So I really do like that about iPhone. Just gives it a really comfortable feel when holding the device. There's no sharp corners. It's not a square kind of device. It's got a flat display, so we have no issues with, accidental presses on a curved display. Just overall, really nice design here. It's a more conservative than innovative design, so they went with the iPhone X look, and it's not super, extravagant looking. If you just take a first glance, it's not super innovative looking, but it definitely has a luxurious, conservative feel to it, and overall, it just works. The design is just classy. It feels good in the hand, and to the user who's using it, they'll love what they're using in the iPhone XS Max. So over my 6 months, absolutely thumbs up on the design. An underappreciated fact I feel of the XS Max is how grippy this phone is. With the stainless steel, I don't know what it is about the XS Max. It just feels very grippy even without a case on it. So when it comes to software, I am running the latest iOS 12.2. We are going to get 12.3 soon, and we're all waiting for iOS 13. But there's not much to say about the software. We know what iOS 12 is. It's basically iOS 11 improved and has, you know, great stability, just awesome performance overall. Really, this has been like a perfect performing smartphone. Never have I had any issues really with it at all. Everything just runs like a champ. And when we were, you know, talking about iOS 11, there was a lot of complaints, a lot of people not very happy with that software. Apple really cleaned it up with iOS 12. Now, while it is not, you know, having all the features you want, like multitasking, split screen, night mode, stuff like that, we might see that with 13. The iOS 12 experience over my past 6 months was just really rock solid. Like, there was just no lags. There was no, you know, stuttering, nothing like that. Just super ultra silky smooth, and everything just worked. And that's kind of what you want from a phone you're going to pay this kind of money for. iOS didn't change that much in its 12th iteration. You do have to give the XS Max props for being probably the smoothest, most stable phone on the market. And that brings me on to the Apple A12. Something that, you know, the XS Max has an advantage over other phones is it has such a high Geekbench score, and it has such powerful performance. Most phones are powerful these days. Honestly, I didn't notice much of a difference in day-to-day use. What I noticed more is just how smooth the gestures are, and you know how smooth that 120 hertz sample rate is on this phone. Now, this is not a 120 hertz display, just the sample touch rate. It just feels silky smooth on the day-to-day. So you'll notice that more than the A12. The phone stays cooler under heavier use. That's where the A12 does come into effect. Also has sustained performance when gaming. So gamers, the XS Max is a fantastic performer with high quality titles and high quality performance. But day-to-day users, you're not really going to make too much advantage of the A12 until Apple starts, you know, putting system features in here that allows you to do so, like multitasking, for example. Let's talk about our battery life on the XS Max. So battery life on the XS Max has not been as good as the XR. Let me make that clear right away. The XR was the best iPhone battery life I've seen from 2018. However, 6 months later, after this battery health has broken in, I still have 100% because I'm really on top of it with my battery life on my phone. So right now I'm still at 100%. And even my iPhone 10 stayed at 100% for like the whole year. So they're really doing good with the newer iPhones, keeping that capacity up versus the old ones seem to drop down really quickly. But overall, I gotta say that the battery life was easily able to get through a day. Now, I was charging this every night, so the XS Max is a charge it every night phone. As long as you're, you know, using it decently, you're gonna need to charge it every night. But if you're a casual user, you might be able to stretch 2 days if you're like very, very light user, but you gotta be very light. If you're using it phone like most people use your phone, you're gonna need to charge this every day, but you're not gonna be rushing for a charger midday. That is a fact here on the XS Max, unless you're a gamer. I mean, you know, if you're an extreme user, gamer, 4K 60 recording, you're doing a video set or something like that, it's gonna drain your battery fast. But I'm talking about everyday usage. You're not gonna be looking for a charger midday at all. I really, really, really want Apple to put a fast charger on the XS Max. I miss this when I'm using my Samsung phones. I miss this on the XS Max, and I really want to see Apple do this already. And hopefully this is the year they do so, because I don't want to look for my iPad charger to go ahead and charge us a little bit faster, and I don't want to pay extra for that. Let's just put it in the box right here so I can just charge up my iPhone XS Max really quickly. But I did really love using the wireless Qi charging, but this is also available on the 8, the 8 Plus, the 10. This is not a new feature, but wirelessly charging the XS Max was a joy as well. So when it comes to the camera, I absolutely love the XS Max's camera because I'm a video creator and the video is super reliable. 4K 60, I don't care where you're shooting video. Well, if you're indoor, you need some good lighting, but other than that, the XS Max will never let you down in camera. Smart HDR functionality, telephoto zoom, 4K 60. This phone is packing the heat when it comes to the camera. Now, these picture examples I'm going to show you right now were taken on the XS Max. This was from my detailed camera review of this device, and you could just see the level of detail is just incredible. Now, here's the thing about it. I didn't do anything but just pull this phone out and tap the shutter. The XS Max did everything else by itself. The exposure, the white balance, the shadows, everything was done by the XS Max itself. So there's just no effort required to take these photos besides pull out the camera and snap the photo. Other than that, you could just see the detail. Look at the dynamic range and the clouds. Just absolutely gorgeous here for this device. So one of my favorite cameras of the year, 2018, and even now, is the 10s Max. There's just not a lot of cameras that can really come close to the 10s Max besides, Huawei P30 Pro, S10 Plus, stuff like that. But other than that, the 10s Max probably still the most simple camera to use to get professional style results. So talking about the audio, I'm actually going to play a video right here. It's already playing, and I'm going to turn this thing up. It's been fantastic. The audio on this phone has dual speakers, stereo sound, so you can cover it up and then one still plays. So there's not an issue with audio. The AirPods to this device also connect very simply if you do have a set of AirPods. And if you don't want to get one, you could just get a used pair, and get it cheaper if you don't want to pay the price of the AirPods, but connects seamlessly well. And Bluetooth 5.0 on this device makes the connections to this iPhone just super fast. So I haven't been disappointed not having a headphone jack too much with the iPhone XS Max because I've adapted to not having a headphone jack. Do I miss it? Sometimes, but at the same time, I do have, AirPods. I do have, the earbuds that go in the lightning port. And also I have plenty of Bluetooth headphones. And I think most of you are starting to get those as well. So the audio on the external speakers is loud. The audio using the phone is great. So 6 months later, I just can't say much more other than missing the headphone jack a little bit. It's been fantastic. Now, here's the only area I had an issue with the XS Max was the phone calling. Now, not the actual sound of people through the earpiece or they couldn't hear me. It's the reception issue. I'm never seeing myself with 4 or 5 bars on this phone. It's always at like 2 or 3. The reception is just not there on this device. And the LTE speeds are just not as quick as like the Note 9, the Galaxy S10 Plus. It's probably because it doesn't have Qualcomm modems, but still, I've noticed that. It's just not as quick to use. So I really do miss that when using the XS Max. But when you're on some fast Wi-Fi or you're in a metropolitan area, you're not going to think about this stuff too much. But if you compare it to competing phones like the Note 9, for example, it's been something I missed on the XS Max. I just got to be honest with you there. And one thing I have to mention with this phone is the combination of the XS Max with the Apple Watch is just unbeatable. I mean, there's a lot of nice smartwatches out there, but using the Apple Watch Series 4, there's just no competition really for it. It is the best smartwatch on the market, in my opinion, if we're talking about being a smartwatch. Now, there's cool smartwatches out there like the Galaxy Watch, but what the Apple Watch does is just so polished, and having the EKG feature and stuff, it's just really hard to beat it right now. So overall, that's my 6 months later with the XS Max. It's a uber premium phone, feels it in the hand every day you do use it. The software is polished, it works perfectly well. There's almost never any lag, any crashes. I actually haven't ran into any. I shouldn't even say almost. There is no lag. There is no crashes on this phone. And it's only going to get better going forward with iOS 13. Right now, there's phones that, offer a lot more for less than the XS Max, but what they don't offer is AirDrop, the ecosystem of Apple, and they don't offer cameras that are quite this good without having to know how to use a camera whatsoever. So what are your thoughts on the XS Max? Do you have one? How's it been going for you since you picked yours up? Share it with the community down below. Remember, people don't always buy these phones right away. They take a year to save up, sometimes 6 months, sometimes, people get them at different times. So let them know your experience as well. Thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Be sure to be well. I will catch you all in the next episode, and peace.